Ladies and gentlemen, this is really interesting. From the Washington Examiner exclusive, Pence returns to Make America Great Again world with Trump-backed political group. This is April 7th, 2021, 5 a.m. in the morning, and former Vice President Mike Pence will take a step back into public life in possibly 2024 with the launch Wednesday of the Advancing American Freedom Advocacy Group, designed to merge traditional conservative thinking with a word that I'm not fond of the word Trumpism, because I think it was another semantic ploy by Democrats to try to disparage what Trump created. President Trump reversed U.S. foreign policy. We now have a date to bring home Americans, to withdraw our presence from a region of the world that we've been in for 20 years. On May 1st, 2021, President Trump negotiated a deal to bring home and withdraw Americans. Of course, Biden is keeping our presence there indefinitely. But merge traditional conservative thinking with Trumpism. It will seek to defend the Trump-Pence administration's record while building what aides said would be a winning formula for a broader coalition. The makeup of its advisory board reflects that mission, including people from the Trump White House, such as Kellyanne Conway and Larry Kudlow, alongside key players from the broader conservative movement, such as David McIntosh, president for the Club of Growth. Advancing American Freedom plans to build on success of the last 4 years by promoting traditional conservative values and promoting the successful policies of the Trump administration, Pence said in a statement to the Washington Examiner. Here is what I think. I think that President Trump is eventually going to, if he's not backing or supporting Pence outright from this political group, so Trump-backed political group, so you have people associated with President Trump who are part of a political group that is, introducing or presenting Mike Pence to the world, or into private life. And I think that, here's my viewpoint. President Trump should, if you want, I know it sounds. It's great that he fights. It's fantastic that Trump fights and says what he thinks, says what's on his mind. You know exactly, you know where he stands. I think that it would be good if he played the game of politics a little better. I think that it would be very good for President Trump, especially in the next 4 years, to slowly, continually, he's taking over the Republican Party, and that's a good thing. You don't want Republicans who will go along with never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. You don't want Republicans who would sign on to the TPP. You don't want it instead of just tariffs. Tariffs were a lot better than the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You can go, you want Republicans to renegotiate NAFTA into the USMCA. You want Republicans to push for prison reform, sign legislation like President Trump did. You want President Trump to run in 2024. You want his accomplishments, allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. You want his accomplishments. Hit subscribe to this channel, by the way. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. You can read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, The Daily Caller, other publications on hagoodman.com. Get this segment going, because I think that people need to... it's difficult, I know, for a lot of people to it's difficult for supporters of President Trump, myself included at times. And even though I came from the left, I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. There's a direct line between Bernie Sanders and President Trump. There is. 2016 Bernie Sanders. But he needs to build coalitions. That's the type of thing that I didn't want to say, but he needs to build a bridge or coalition, a coalition or a partnership with the Republican Party. You can't have Jeff Sessions and Mitt Romney and Ben Sasse and if hopefully President Trump runs again. But you can't have the same thing. Okay? You can't have the same thing take place. Let's say, God willing, he wins again. Okay? You can't have Republicans essentially stabbing him in the back. You cannot have that. You just simply can't have it. So you need to build these coalitions, these partnerships, because Democrats, they have a finely tuned political machine. Everyone falls in line. There are no Ben Sasse, Mitt Romney types. Anyone who dares show, like, Tulsi Gabbard showed actual courage and bravery and integrity in standing up to the Democratic Party on a number of issues, okay? Mitt Romney did not show any courage, even though he got recently, a JFK award for standing up to Trump. He didn't show any courage. He just wants to be nominee in 2024. Have him run again. That would be fantastic. Could you imagine Mitt Romney and President Trump on the debate stage? But see, again, if Trump just tones down the rhetoric just a bit, I know people are going to say, well, he doesn't have to do anything differently. Well, yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, fix it. And so he can tone down his rhetoric, never get back on social media, or at least not Twitter. If he starts his own social media company, he doesn't have to go after, he doesn't have to get into beefs or even, I should say, respond. Because generally Trump is a counterpuncher, so he doesn't generally go after people. Generally, he responds. We're seeing now, ladies and gentlemen, the country is seeing that, the last 4 years was media and the Democratic Party stomping their feet, yelling at the top of their lungs, saying that the sky is falling. And we're seeing that, Biden hasn't saved our democracy. We have the same issues, the same problems, the same atrocities have taken place. We have even a greater crisis in the southern geographic region of our country. And that's because of policies from President Biden's administration. He was supposed to bring this era or the 4 years of peace and tranquility. And it's like we still have problems. We still have tremendous issues to address. Okay? And media isn't treating Biden in the same way media treated Trump. Okay? Trump got 92% negative media coverage. I would love to find, can anyone, any viewer, find in the comments section, let me know, are there any articles in a major publication that have a negative viewpoint of what Biden, our beloved President Biden, is doing? He's getting virtually almost everything, aside from Fox News and conservative publications. Okay, so the Washington Examiner is fantastic. Okay, definitely, subscribe to the Washington Examiner. Read it. I love it. I have it the first thing that pops up on my phone. And it's I don't have any affiliation other than I actually really love this publication. It's fantastic. Hopefully one day will be published in the Washington Examiner. I've been published in the Daily Caller. I've been published in the Federalist. And obviously other publications. But I would love to one day be published in the Washington Examiner. I think everyone should, everyone should be reading it. It's the first thing on their, on their phone that they read. It's just fantastic. But the articles below, I think that President Trump needs to ensure that there are no, taking over the Republican Party, he's going to do that in 2022. You're going to have Doug Collins, Jim Jordan type, Devin Nunes type Republican. Ron DeSantis take over the Republican Party. The House will be Republican, hopefully the Senate as well. you need that base of support, not only for President Trump, but hopefully Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or Ivanka Trump run in the future. Now, I know that Democrats or people on the left, or left-leaning people say, "Oh my God, you want his family?" If Hunter Biden ran, you better believe every Democrat would vote for him, even with his substance abuse issues, his girlfriend throwing a .38 in the trash bin next to a school, leaving a laptop full of pay-to-play emails, quid pro quo. There's no doubt about why those emails are incriminating. We already know that even Hunter acknowledged that they were his emails. So it's like they're impervious to facts and the truth. Democrats, everything's morally relative when they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar or when they get caught with their pants down, literally, in many cases. Everything is morally relative. Well, that's just politics. But if it's anything that happens to a Trump Republican, oh my God, did you see what happened? And so you better believe, they would vote for Hunter Biden for president. Vote blue no matter who. And it really doesn't matter. Like on the left right now, I see I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. I deleted my Twitter account 3 years ago. It's the most horrible place, cyber reality that's ever existed. Well, it doesn't exist, actually. It's a cyber world that is actually the antithesis of the real world, full of angry, disgruntled people, morally superior, apoplectic liberals who just condemn and judge and pontificate. It's a really wonderful place if you want to slowly go insane. But I don't have a Twitter account. Where was I going with it? I don't even know where I'm going anymore. I don't have a Twitter account, but getting back to Hunter Biden. Oh yeah, here's where I'm going. So on the left, they're going after each other. Everyone's going, oh my God, even the $20 million venture capital people. Things that I was explaining to people when I was on the left. I was saying, hey, you know what? This is not the left. There is no left, actually. But now, everything that I was saying, people are now saying, okay, it's okay. I'm ahead of the game a lot. No problem. But it's like a complete cluster, you know what, on the left. And you're seeing really million to 2 to 3 million sub channels. You're seeing this only the most really destructive type of situations taking place. I mean, there is no left because all the people who they all dislike each other, but they're all going to vote blue no matter who. So it really doesn't matter. It's kind of like this kind of I can't even explain it. It's so unhealthy. The left is the most unhealthy place to be. Okay? They have a morality fetish. Most people on the left have a morality. They're not really focused on actual morality. They're focused on condemnation, judgment, pontificating, preaching, and feeling morally superior at the expense of actually being immoral. So, anyway, give me your thoughts below. It would be good for President Trump to build whatever you want to call it, coalitions, whatever you want to, because the thing is, if you can't demand loyalty in politics, you can't demand it. You got to give people, Democrats have, it's a political machine, so they run on legal graft. You want a book deal? You want favorable coverage from every publication and cable station out there aside from Fox? Yeah, you'll get it. That's legal graft, okay? You want, late night talk show hosts, all of them, they all think in just this one way of seeing the world. And anyway, they know everyone falls in line if you're a Democrat because it's a finely tuned political machine from the days of Tammany Hall until today. Republicans aren't like that. especially with this identity crisis they've had for the past 4 years, not accepting President Trump. They did themselves in. So President Trump has to give them incentive to finally accept him, to where they don't side with Democrats on investigations that are completely made up and fabricated. I mean, you had Republicans who utilized a dossier that Clinton purchased. That can't happen anymore. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right